Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to ASA International Forum 2025. It's the last day already, but we still packed with enriching and inspiring sessions throughout the day. My name is Prawa Thamitak, and I'm delighted to be your MC for today. How's your morning? Many of you here may have attended yesterday's sessions, learning from Mr. Junya and Mr. Gulapat. So to summarize one key takeaway from yesterday's session, it would be through the harmony of art, nature, and life. Architecture can shape spaces that feel meaningful and alive. As a part of Architect 25, under the theme Past, Present, Perfect, today's session will continue exploring how architecture connects our past, present, and future. So let's discover in the first section of the day. We will look through the lens of a creative expert whose imagination has shaped hundreds of unique hospitality projects around the world. For him, curiosity is what pushes design forwards. He is founder and creative director of Bensley, and he will be sharing on the topic of Don't Put Me in a Box. So please join me to welcome our honored speaker, Mr. Will Bensley.
Don't you think? I am really interested to find out who's here. Are most of you guys architects? Okay, all right, good. We're family. Okay, we know we're family. It's good. And I want to thank the Association of Siamese Architects for having me here. And that I feel very privileged. And what's behind us on this is about 16 hotels. And that is about not even 10% of the projects that we've done around the world. Here you guys are, and I want to tell you that in 1984, a lot of you were not even born then, but in 1984, when I was a very, very young Bill Bensley, I landed in Bangkok, and then I got off the plane, walked down onto the tarmac. There was no bridges at that point. Walked into one of the old hangars that they were still using, and I remember handing my passport up to them, and then standing back so they could see me. And then they stamped my passport, and they turned over and said, "Welcome to Thailand." And I thought, this is so cool. So I walked across the street, and remember Dunmung, across the street there was a little market there, and they had fruits and veggies and places to sit down. And I saw this giant fruit, and it had all these spikes on it. And I said, well, what the hell is that? So I bought one of these big suckers, and I had the guy come and open it for me. And he opened it up. It smelled beautiful. Smelled really good. And then I had a couple of Thai Singha beer, and 2 beer, maybe 3 beer, and I had a whole durian myself. And it was wonderful. I was in heaven, and I knew from that point on that I was going to stay here the rest of my life. And I have. In 1984, the same year, that was also the year that Chulalongkorn University graduated the first landscape architecture class. And then also in 1984, when I first came out here, nobody knew what landscape architecture was. Nobody had any idea what it was, so it was a really hard sell. Maybe the American companies like Hyatt and Hilton and so forth, they knew, so it was difficult. And then 70 and 19, and after that, or actually before that, I was born in a farm. as you could probably tell. And in California, and I grew up in a place where we grew chickens, we grew all of our vegetables, we grew honey, et cetera, et cetera. So I grew up in a place that was very self-sustaining. And then from there, I went to Cal Poly Pomona and learned landscape architecture. And then after that, I went to school at a small university in Boston called Harvard. And I met this friend of mine called Lech Bunag, who's going to speak later. And he and I became friends. And it was funny, on graduation day, after a couple of years learning from a guy named Moshe Safdie, Lech asked me, where are you going to go after graduate? And I said, I don't really know, Lech, where are you going to go? He said, I'm going to go to Singapore. And I said, Lech, where's that? And he invited me with Louisa. Louisa's here today. Hello, Louisa. He invited me to go and stay with them, and I went and stayed with them for a couple of days. And the next day, I got a job at Belt Collins. And the next week, I was designing hotels in Bali. And so I was very, very fortunate. Then after that, in 1989, 5 years later, after working for Belt Collins and so forth, it was very much a pivotal year. I started my own office because Thai people, in the typical Thai fashion, opened their arms to me and said, welcome. Kun Chanin Donavanik of Dusatani, hello, Mom. Said, funded my startup. P. Dang, did anyone know P. Dang of Leo Design? Okay, a few people. He was wonderful, wonderful man. He gave me a place in his garage, and a secretary. Had no windows, but it was a place. And then later I shared an office with Lech and Louisa. And that is actually, those are the years where Lech taught me more than any professor at Harvard. So this afternoon, please don't miss his lecture. He's really an architect's architect, if you will. And during this time, I was reading a book called What They Don't Teach You at the Harvard Business School. And I started to assemble my colleagues. And at that point, I met Guk and Siri. I met One. I met the Wayan Nioman Katut and everybody down in Bali. And I started to assemble this 120-person team that I have still today. And with these people, they're still working with me, and we're doing projects all over the world. But most importantly, that very week that I arrived into Bangkok, I met a fellow named Chirichai Rangtong, who became my life partner, my better half, and it was the best blessing I've ever had. So up here, there's 16 images, and why hotels? And why do I concentrated on hotels? And it's a very simple answer in that hotels are maintained by a corporation. They're maintained by companies called Four Seasons, Hyatts, and Hiltons. And I had a really good, really bad experience. And I think, Siri, you worked on this. It was Mr. Goldstein's project, where Lech's office, Siri was working for Lech at the time. And we worked for maybe 3 years, and we made this beautiful house in Karawaci, in Jakarta. And I had Architectural Digest come and photograph it and so forth. And then the owners came back from vacation. And they brought with them, she brought with her, about 150 baby pictures. And her baby pictures were on every single wall, everywhere in all of my interiors, everywhere, and ruined everything immediately. It was a mess. So this is the reason why I'm doing hotels, because baby pictures don't apply. They don't get anywhere. They don't get any traction with. So what I'm going to tell you today is that our company is a sponge. What does that mean? Is that and I encourage everybody in our company, in our atelier, to be a sponge of information. I want Bensley to be curious and to understand many different things. And also Bensley travels. And this is really important. I've traveled now with Chirichai to 106 different countries. And we've worked in 37 countries. And we're asked to look at different projects, new projects, probably now almost every day a new project comes along. And how do I decide? If there's a new project in a place that I haven't been before, I'm there. And next week I'm going to Lagos, right? Lagos, where's Lagos? What country? Thai people, really good with the geography. Really good with geography. They've always been good. I asked Dong, my driver, Brazil, where's Brazil? London? Yeah, well, you know, yeah, okay. Okay, so it's important that we are a chameleon as our designer, being a designer. Now, I'm going to tell you this slideshow up in here is painless, and it's although it covers about 30 years of our work. But while we're doing this, I want you guys to feel free to stop and ask me a question, because that's perfectly okay. I don't mind. Or you can boo, or you can cheer, but I think that's important. Okay, now I'm done with my notes. Okay, let's start the show. Okay, the first box that I want to tell was that I was ever put in that I was really aware of was when I showed up, and Louisa might remember this, was when I showed up at Harvard, and then, oh, you're from California. And they put me in the surfer box. And when you're in the surfer box, you're in the dumb box, right? You're the dumbest guy in the room. So, and that was the first time I ever felt that, right? So then when I came over to here, again, landscape architecture was a new thing. So people labeled me as the landscaper, right? So I would work with architects and make their buildings look better. And that's the sort of thing that I did. And we did the first project I did in Lombok was Singigi. Made a big splash, a very big splash. And Novotel Benoa, Bali, elected the architecture for this. And Villa Rocha, this was the guy with the baby pictures. Remember him, right? This was the guy that, beautiful gardens, baby pictures. But, okay. And then we did this project also with Lekna, Kirana Spa, and beautiful project there. So then, after doing this for about 10 years, many projects, and I was doing 7 out of 8 new hotels in Jakarta, and everybody wanted a Bali garden because that was the trend. And I remember Chirichai telling me, you got to get out of this, right? You got to stop this and do something different. So my next big break was to be able to work on the Four Seasons in Koh Samui. That was a really big break. Did anyone see White Lotus? Yeah, it was cool, huh? Yeah, it was like a Bensley portfolio. It was really neat. Yeah, I loved it. I loved watching it. We had White Lotus parties at the house, and the actors and actresses of the show came over and so forth. So yesterday I just signed another contract in order to do a complete renovation of the Four Seasons in Koh Samui and in Chiang Mai and the Four Seasons at Tented Camp. We're going to redo all of these projects. So these are projects that are really sort of the core elements of my portfolio. the tented camp. This is going to go through a big presentation, but that won best project, best hotel in the year for 3 years in a row, Travel and Leisure. No Condé Nast. And what I really like about that project is that it sits very lightly on the landscape. You can pick it up and move it out, and hardly anyone will ever know it was there. That's the beauty of it. I'm sure some of you guys have been to the Siam Hotel here in Bangkok, right? And then our big news today is that we're doing an extension to the Siam Hotel in Chiang Mai on the Ping River. Not so far from the town. We've got a beautiful piece of property there. And this piece of property floods like crazy. The floods were up to here, right? So what we're doing is we're building this big wall like Amsterdam, all the way around the property, as tall as the roof almost. Nah? And hopefully that'll keep some of the, it's like a big walk, right? We can go up and over this wall and into it, but it's not going to flood when we're finished with it. So then we worked on these projects in Vietnam. We've done a lot of beautiful projects there, and this one was in a place called Yen Tu. And it was a valley where Yen Tu, who was a 12th century king of Vietnam. And he left being a king and became a Buddhist monk. So many people, many Vietnamese people go to this place, and that's why I've made this look kind of like a kuti. But many people go to this place from Vietnam and pray to the gods to make more money, which is sort of counteractive, right? We left it, but that's what they do. They go there and make more money. Then this is the valley in which it sits. One of the projects that I'm really the most proud of is at Capella Ubud, and it was voted best hotel in the world a couple of years ago, Travel and Leisure. And I have a fun story to tell about that, is that it began as an Accor property. Is anyone from Accor here? Is anyone? Okay, that's good. We can get down to really gossip about them now. Okay. Accor wanted to have, this is a true story, wanted to have on this tiny little site about 220 rooms. And it would, we started with a local architect, and it would have just wiped out this entire valley. Let me show you some more pictures of the valley, of the valley. And it would have been just horrendous. Anyways, we went to the owner and said, hey, Mr. Suido, first-time hotel owner, can I convince you to do something that's going to cost less money but make more money for you? And he says, yeah, I'm all ears. He said, let's do a few tents. Let's do 35 tents. I figure we can put those in here. And so he did. And a short story, a long story, very short, we made 34 rooms. We're now the top most expensive hotel in Bali. And he spent about 40% of his original budget, and he's very, very happy. So my point here is that never follow what Accor says. I'm joking. This is a rosewood in Luang Prabang, and it's a beautiful property. But what I really like about the property is that it's a microcosm of Laotian history. I made each one of these rooms. You worked on this, no? Go. Yeah, you worked on that. It's a microcosm of, and so we did this wonderful storyline of in each and every room tells a different story about a different personality, 34 different personalities who were key in the history of Laos. Okay, and one of my favorite projects is a place called Lamarck University. Has anyone been to Phu Quoc? Not a person. You guys have, yeah, you guys worked on it. okay? And what we did here is that we made this Marriott. Again, we need 250 rooms. Nobody likes a big hotel. Nobody likes a big hotel. So and especially me. But we need to build 250 rooms. So what did I do? I thought, break down the scale. One of the things that Pilek taught me a long time ago, break down the scale. So we broke down the scale of this 250 room into a college university. So each of these 250 rooms, they fitted into a department of a college. And why a college? Well, for me, being in college was one of the happiest times of my life, right? So, and I thought, well, that would be really cool if we could take this whole idea of a college back into a university, into a resort, and it worked out really well. We called it the Lamarck University. Lamarck was a French writer and scientist that was a pre-Darwin. So he was a naturalist, somebody that I really liked very much. And Balk's here today too, isn't he? Oh, there he is, okay. I think you might recognize that, yeah? Balk worked on that years ago, right? This, one of the beautiful things of Da Nang, and people still line up for that Balk. Now, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the Koreans out there, they want to sit in your hat. This is one of the projects that we just recently renovated. We made 4 rooms into one. And this hotel keeps doing better and better and better every year. And this year we're going to put another 35 rooms here. It's the Intercontinental in Da Nang. Up in the very north part of Vietnam, there's a place called Saipan. It sits very high in the mountains, and it's a beautiful place. And rice terraces all the way around. We built it on Accor property called the Hotel de la Cupola, and that's it. And while this hotel would have been twice as good had it been half the size, again, it was 250 or 300 rooms. We tried to break down the scale by way of its facade and using a French trick of different owners along the street. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud of this particular project also in Hanoi. It's called the Capella, and we spent about $2 million per room here. So we had a huge budget of interior, and the great thing about this project was that each of the rooms was personified, made, and honored the people that were involved in opera at the turn of the century. And why? Because right around the corner from this is the opera house that was built in 1907. So it's fantastic. They did every single thing we wanted. And it's really a wonderful opportunity as an architect, interior designer, landscape architect to be able to have that sort of thing happen at least once in your life. Keep remembering that, Gook. Okay, so then I got put in this box. I talk about don't let yourself be put in a box. Now I'm kind of in a box as, Bill Bensley, he's a maximalist, right? So the next thing I did after that is I went and did a really minimalist Marriott in Jeju, and it's so minimalist, it's so boring. And along the way, we're doing a whole series of uniforms. Uniforms that we do for each of our projects. Hotel de la Paix has a great series of uniforms there. Then this maximalist person then wants to try something new. Being a sponge, I wanted to try something new, and that's called and so we tried to own a hotel. I do own a hotel. I own several hotels. And this is the Shintamani in Siem Reap. Anyone been here? Okay, I know you have, Biana. Okay. And this is a hotel that is very small, but the foundation, the basis of this hotel is our foundation. And that's really why it's there. When I first went to Shintamani, when I first went to Siem Reap I designed the Hotel de la Paix, which is now the Park Hyatt. And I found that our neighbor, just closer to us than Chiang Mai, are very, very poor, are extremely poor. And Thai people, in general, well, we live close by, we don't want to know about them. So I founded a foundation with my good friend Sakun Chanprida, and we started this foundation that has built many homes and so forth. I'll get into that a bit later. So the box 7 that have been put into is developing, is a developer. And Siem Reap is up in here. Then I bought this piece of land right down in here. It's in a place called the Cardamom Rainforest. Anyone heard of that? No. Okay. The Cardamom Rain, this is Thailand. Has anyone heard of that? Okay. There's Thailand over here, and then from here, from this border right in here, all the way through here is a rainforest called the Cardamoms. And that rainforest creates all of the rain that falls in Isan, that falls in mid-Cambodia, and that falls in Laos and in Vietnam. All of this rainforest in here. And I tell you the truth, in the last 10 years, 60% of that rainforest has disappeared. 60%. What happens when that rainforest disappears? The rain disappears in Isan. The rain disappears in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Nobody wants to know about it. So every single day now in my lifetime today, right now, more than 50% of my time is devoted towards this foundation, which promotes the understanding of that, hey, this rainforest and the wilderness of it is very important because it will affect many, many lives. I bought a piece of property here. It's about the size of Central Park, if anyone's been to New York there. And I employ, this is it. This is an aerial of it. And I put in 15 tents. I love tents, if you haven't figured that out by now. I put in 15 tents along this river. And this river is fantastic river. We have a small headquarters there where people can come and dine. And this is a detail of some of the rooms themselves. Beautiful. We charge about $2,500 per night. Ed Sheeran took the whole camp last year. Does anyone know Ed Sheeran? Okay, good. You got a good one on that one. Okay, and this is my waterfall. I bought this waterfall from the government of Cambodia because they told me that underneath this waterfall, there's titanium there. And they gave me you can go ahead and destroy this and get the titanium out and get your money back. I'm not a miner, and nor will I ever be a miner. So they accepted that, and now they accept the idea that I'm employing 15 full-time rangers. And these rangers carry AK-47s 24/7. And this is what I'm devoting my life to now, is that to be able to keep this area and all of the area that we patrol in the Southern Cardamoms safe. In the last 7 years, we've picked up over 17,000 snares. And a snare is a piece of wire that can catch a tiger, it can catch an elephant, it can catch anything in its path. And we've picked up, with our guys, 17,000 snares. In the other part of our foundation is also looking at the, also looks at the housing in north of Vietnam, or north of Siem Reap. And here what's it here? Here, this is the way the typical people in Cambodia live. Nobody in Thailand lives like this anymore. They live in plastic sheets, and you would have a family of maybe 12 in here. Okay, in the last 7 years, we've built about 450 homes to replace such poverty. This is my team. And besides the 15,000 snares, this is a chainsaw. And I have a storage room, and maybe as big as this room, which is filled this high with chainsaws. One chainsaw can destroy about 100 square meters a day. And so that is the result of what we've been doing. So we've been effective, but we're not effective enough. Okay. Now I'm going to jump over to a brighter side, a lighter side, is that recently we've opened an extension to Chintamani. And that extension goes up to Nepal. And Nepal is, of course, one of the poorest countries in Asia. And that's why we're there. And we're in a place called Mustang. In fact, next 2 weeks, I'm going to do a long trek through here because we're planning to extend this. Beautiful rooms, artwork by Robert Powell, fantastic views, and it's doing super well. We have a 1 week minimum stay, 30 minutes. I'll be done in 3. 30 minutes, okay. I'll be done in 3. Okay, so the box number 8 is that I'm putting in, and hopefully put in, I'm very proud of this as being a conservationist. And again, about 3 years ago, somebody asked us to go to the Congo to do a project. And this Congo is all about gorilla conservation. And I said, yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it like a rat up a drain pipe. And so this is one of our beautiful drawings. And here, right in here, I'm hiking with the Ba'aka people. You would know them as the pygmy people. They're very, very short. Now, Gook, you'd be very at home there, no? Okay, and what we're doing there is we're putting, taking a beautiful piece of forest. David Attenborough once told us that it was the best place left in the world to study gorillas, much better than Rwanda. And we're doing this is some of the pictures that I took in the wild, but we're doing 4 camps there, and each camp has only 4 tents. And these are the tents in here. And so they're very, very much related, much separated. The cost to go here, we're opening next year, the cost to go here is $4,000 per person per night. So it's super high end, but it creates, like Chintamani Wild, it creates enough money to be able to have rangers that protect those gorillas, and believe me, they need it. Okay, so these are some of the site plans for what we're working on now. Very interesting project. Then a few years ago, I did this one project called Sensible Sustainable Solutions. And it was a real success. This is when sustainability was a real buzzword. And one morning I had this idea, and I got up and went to the office and looked at all of our brand standards from all the various hotels that we're working on. and I found brand standards from the floor was about this high. I went through them all, and there was absolutely nothing about sustainability. So I wrote this 100-page thesis, and I boiled that down to about 10 pages, 12 pages, and sent it to 850 hotel groups. And the result that I got back was really terrific. They said, you know, like Kempinski immediately put it in their portfolio, and it really got everybody thinking about what the hotel company should be telling us architects what we should be doing and how they want us to think. Okay. And box 9, finally, is an artist. And I don't know if you guys noticed out in the foyer out here, I brought some of my paintings along. And this is the way I fund a lot of our conservation projects. So this year I had a show at MoCA at the Four Seasons. And so far this year we've made about $405,000, yeah, Fa? Okay. And which has been really terrific. And it's this is my gallery at my studio. And with that money then, I also have a hospitality school in Siem Reap, and these are our graduating classes every year. We've been doing that for several years. Every year we graduate about 35 kids, and they're the poorest of the poor. I have a project office that's about 12 people, and all of those expenses come out of my pocket. Any of the monies that we make with artwork and so forth go to supporting these kids directly. And that has been one of the best things in my life, is being able to change lives, so many. And not one has ever graduated without a job. Every single one has a job. So that's upcoming collaborations. This is really exciting in that they call it the Cardamons. That was the show I just spoke of. And I am doing which is really, really exciting, I'm doing a collaboration with a company called Baker McGuire Furniture. They're out of the States. And we've designed about 100 different pieces of furniture. And these furniture is all based on the different animals of the cardamom forest. And so for example, this one on the far left, when you turn it on its side, it looks like an elephant ear. And then this one, the frame of the mirror in the middle upper looks like the scale of the pangolin. So they all have their own story, and so it's the world's first furniture line based on wild animals. But the exciting part is that Baker McGuire has agreed to give to my foundation 10% of all the funds that they make. And we're launching in fall in a few months. They make millions per year. So we should be able to do really, really well. These are some of the ideas. And then the second one is that really, really cool is this collaboration with Jim Thompson. And so I know that many of you want my jacket. And this jacket is one of the first things that I'm allowed to show from my collection that's going to be launched in Paris in January. And so that once again, every single piece of fabric that is sold for furniture, et cetera, and also my fashion line, Jim Thompson's going to make 80,000 garments, I found out last week. They're going to make 80,000 garments, for better or for worse. And again, 10% of all of that goes towards all of these different programs that I'm doing in Cambodia. Okay. So very cool. And these are some of the animals and so forth that I've been working on. Now, for the first time ever, because you guys are in Thailand, I have, Fa, did you bring that book? No. Okay. Book? Okay. Okay. I have this this huge sumo book, right? It's really heavy, right? Okay. And I know it's about 4,000 baht, but if you guys zoom in on that little QR code thing, you'll get it for free. Yeah. So if you guys, I'm going to leave that up there. And then also, Bill Bensley, that's my Instagram. But I'll leave it up there because it'll take a while to go. So I'm going to stop there and open the floor for discussion. Okay, that's good. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bill Bensley. I wish we have more time for the session. And this will be time for a Q&A session, the session that everyone is excited for. Actually, one message from Mr. Bill really touched my heart. Don't let yourself be put in a box. This sentence really inspired us, and your session has truly sparked new ideas and inspiration to all of us today. Next will be Q&A session. So this session will be moderated by Mr. Ken Jong Suwat, landscape architect and lecturer at Chulalongkorn University. Please welcome Mr. Bill and Mr. Ken on the stage.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bill. I nervously came up to you just now. I said, good luck. Obviously, you don't need any of that. And also, I think your energy is unmatched, so I hope we can start a good conversation today. So thank you. I think you're very inspiring, and I wish we had more time to kind of go through more of your work. I'll get the ball rolling with a couple questions just to start. I think in your work, there is kind of an incredible kind of maximalist, right? And also at the same, yes, I know, I'm going to help you break that box soon. But I think there's also this idea of a minimalist approach to landscape, right?
Okay.
Yes. Come back, Bill. So that's where I think there's an interesting tension. You have maximalist kind of ideas, but also minimalist approach to the landscape. So maybe that could be a good start.
Well, my point is during this whole talk is that as architects and all of you in the audience is that don't let yourself be put in a box. Don't become a maximalist. Don't become a minimalist. Don't become a landscape architect. Don't become a draftsman. Keep growing. Keep doing things differently. And go beyond what you think that you should go beyond, if that makes sense. Yeah?
Yes, thank you. I think that makes perfect sense. I think the second part I think we can unpack is this, I think you're very passionate about conservatism, right, at the moment, or that's also on their box, but I think
conservatism is very different than conservation.
Yes. Conservation, sorry.
Right. I'm not a conservative person.
Are you trying to stay in that box still?
As a conservationist, yeah, until death, for sure. But that's one of the things that I've added on to this repertoire. And I think it's very, very important. Very, very important.
Thank you. And could you give some advice, I think, for a lot of landscape designers or architects about, I think that you mentioned about the Accor hotels, how you convince them to actually move away from that bulldozing of that forest. Any advice for people practicing?
Don't do it if you want to keep the job. Right? So I by doing that with Accor, I made no friends there, but they understood why. So be very careful about as architects, be very careful about who you befriend and who you. But luckily, I had other projects going on with Accor, so they didn't blacklist me. they still recognize me and say they try to get me on jobs. But they understood at the end of the day why we did what we did. Does that answer your question?
No, yes. I think there's a lot of burning questions from the floor. I think we want to kind of get, as you mentioned, I think get the crowd also with us as well. So if there's any questions from the floor, we can ask directly to Mr. Bill.
Not a one. Oh,
Okay.
come on, there's got to be something. Yes?
Hi, Kun Bill. So I asked you this question a while ago. I want to ask you this question again today. So, will you retire?
Will I retire? I think I'm going to retire when I'm dead. But for right now, I want to show you my favorite shirt. Not dead yet. Go, your turn.
I have one question. I always want to ask you this, but out of 180 projects you've been doing, which one do you like the most?
Shintamani Wild.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because, what project is my favorite? Shintamani Wild. And why? Because it's the cover girl of conservation and hospitality. And it's also, for sure, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. We got ripped off in every single way. Everybody ripped us off there.
Yeah.
But it's doing so much good every single day. So that for sure is my favorite.
And which one do you hate the most?
Which one do I hate the most? Oh, I did it. Oh, I got it. Well, right when we first started, and this is before you started with us, we did this. We made this in Singapore for a private club. We made this swimming pool. And I had this idea to put a yellow submarine down at the bottom of the swimming pool. And so we made this yellow submarine, and then we put it on the bottom, and it was a death trap. And within a few months, they just took it out, and it was about from here to the mirror over there. It was it was a lot of expensive, but it was so dangerous. And luckily, they didn't sue me, and I didn't have to pay for it and so forth. And I said, I'm sorry. That was the worst mistake I've ever made, right?
Thank you.
Well, you got to have something.
Thank you for having a talk. We have been waiting for you for so many years. You not only do so many projects, and basically you really influence the generation of landscape architect in Thailand, and we really welcome you with an open heart. And it's not only the one side hug, you also embrace us back. So thank you so much. I already forgot my question. Okay. So being as an outsider, and then you've been working in Thailand for so long, and you've been working with us for so long. And you manage us so well. You understand the Thai designer so well. So I want to ask you about your experience working with the Thai designer or even the Balinese people, and then what you see in the past 30, 40 years, how much change you see, and then what you see in the future.
One of my best experiences working with Thai landscape architects is working with you. Right? I mean, you were a real superstar. You didn't stay with us long enough, but that was a really fun few years that we had. What I really like about working with Thai and Balinese is that as opposed to working in the States. And I go back to the States sometimes and hear my classmates tell me horror stories about infighting within the offices. People don't get along, right? People will sue you for calling them, for taking their parking spot, right? And where, now I have a theory, is that especially the Balinese, but also the Thai, is that we still have agrarian roots. And so as Thai people and in Balinese and Indonesians, that we work together as a teamwork, as a community, much better than, say, Westerners or Europeans that have lost that thread for many years. So that's my decision, my own thought. What do you guys think about that? Why do you think we work so well together? You're lazy to fight?
Yeah. Yeah. We are lazy to fight. Just work is enough.
Just work is enough. ไม่แน่ไม่เชื่อนะ Jeng, what's your idea? No? Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Maybe to kind of get a conversation, I think we have a bit of time to maybe discuss on your next box you're trying to break. Is there, what's next? What's the next kind of big thing you have in mind at this point in your career with this amazing work, that portfolio of work that you have?
I think that we'll see how it goes with Jim Thompson and Baker, but I think that is a huge has huge legs to keep going with collaborations. And to keep going with there's so much that needs to be done in Cambodia. So much to be done. And so I want to do a lot more work that way. And then I also want to take my own artwork and my own penchant for drawing and so forth and take that on a much bigger scale in the many projects. We're doing probably 40 different projects in 20 countries right now. But that has the ability to expand a whole lot as well. So to answer your question, Ken, many ways.
Many ways. Okay, we're looking forward to that. I think there was also mention from the back, we have a lot of young landscape architects, designers. มีคำถามก็คืออยากจะฝาก I'm going to translate in Thai. Any advice for the young kind of generation? You've inspired this kind of front row. And there's kind of that back row that are waiting to be inspired. So any advice to the
to the back row? Okay, my suggestion to you guys is that to travel more than you ever thought you should. And when you're traveling, put your iPhone away, put your camera away. Travel with a sketchbook, because when you draw something, it means so much more than it does when you put the 12,000th photograph of the day onto this thing. Because most of us never look at those photographs again. But when you draw something, it becomes part of you. Where's your sketchbook? When you draw something, it becomes part of you. You will remember it and you will understand it. So that's my number one suggestion for all young people. Not the two front rows. Good?
We have time for one more question. There's one question from the crowd in front here.
Hi, Bill. I'm landscape architect too. I just want to, out of my curiosity, from the beginning of your career, did you see yourself to become the brand in itself? And how you make that journey to become so powerful as a brand? and how you're going to use your brand for the next journey or legacy in the future.
At Don Muang, when I was eating that durian and drinking those Singha beers, I had no idea. I had no idea. But how did it happen? All the way, it's been curiosity.
Don't you want to share with us a bit of
The curiosity
Yes.
is that, and I would, all the young people in the back there, I suggest besides your sketchbook is to read, right? Since COVID started, I've started to read again, and I've gone through about 250 books, and I read everything from history to biographies to, horrible people like Elon Musk and so forth. And I do this while I'm painting, right? So I'm doing two things at the same time. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I paint until 10. I go to the office and I leave there at 4, and then I come back and I do some more painting and work on my projects. But I think the key to being a brand, if I am a brand, if Bensley is a brand, is that it's curiosity and it's wanting to know more and more. And that's why no matter what the fees are, I'll go to the Congo. I'm going to go to, Nigeria. That's where Lagos is, by the way. And that I'll go to any place where I can learn something new. And that's the way I design hotels too, is that I put on a silver platter to our guests the ability to learn something new. Because if our guests can remember something, if they learn something new, they're going to remember that hotel more. That's why Rosewood is a whole microcosm of Laotian history, because I want people to learn something new. This, for me, is the meaning of life, is to satisfy that curiosity. And then I want to, in everything we do within not just the office, but also our hospitality and my hotel chain, Shintamani, I want people to learn new and to satisfy that curiosity.
Thank you. We have time.
Can you name 5 books, that you read?
My favorite book, this is a weird one. It's called Mutiny on the Bounty, right? That one's a really great book. And just recently I read the Chinese author, Xin Jin, and he read Three Body Problem. Have you guys read that? Man, that was good. That was just terrific. I love John Steinbeck. So the East of Eden is Wayward Bound, right? The American author is fantastic author. And then there's also an Irish author that I've just read all of his books on that are about much more contemporary. John Barry is his name. So those are my 5 favorite, I think. But if you ask me tomorrow, there'd be 5 different. Just off the top of my head.
Thank you, Bill. Could Escapism be one of those books as well?
Sorry?
Your books could be that?
No.
Read?
No. There's nothing to read in there. It's just pictures.
But you can get a copy, right? If we scan your QR code.
If you put that back on the screen, the guys in the back can do the QR code thing, and you can get a copy of it.
Thank you, Bill. I think we're running out of time, but I wish. Okay, there's one more.
Question?
What are your thoughts on this? Okay, what are your thoughts on AI in design?
Good question. That answers your next one. Is that I've got to get better at AI,
Okay, that's
right?
the next box.
Yeah, the next box, right? That what was it? Yuval's book. He brought out what AI is going to do to us in the future, and it will help us. I'm really excited about it, and I've had AI workshops where we've had at my house where we've had people come from all over Southeast Asia in order to brainstorm how architects and designers can benefit from it. I dislike the idea of it makes us as architects somewhat more lazy, right? I dislike that part about it, but I like the ability, if we use it wisely, as the doctors will in diagnosing sicknesses, if we use it wisely, it'll be a great thing. So in short, does that make sense? Yeah?
Thank you, Bill. I think we're really running out of time. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I think if there's any other questions, I think we can hopefully continue this conversation outside if possible. Thank you again so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bill Bensley and Mr. Ken Jong Suwat, for the insightful and motivating session for today. Keep rolling, keep doing things differently, and think beyond. This will be the summary of the third session of ASA International Forum. And next, we'll present the souvenir to our honor speakers. So, Mr. Bill Bensley, please come on the stage one more time. Thank you very much. And on this occasion, may I invite Mr. ASA Sukhayang, President of the Association of Siamese Architects under Royal Patronage, to present souvenir to our honored speaker today. Curiosity is the key. Yeah, the key term that boosts creativity, also unlock new perspectives to all of us. Think outside of the box, step out of comfort zone. Love your suit really much. Wow. Here's one thing, think outside of the box. Yeah, we have souvenir to our honored speaker. Please give a big round of applause to the third session of Mr. Bill Bensley. His energy and his session truly made our Sunday morning special. One picture, please. Yay. His signature. Thank you very much. Please, a big round of applause to our honored speaker. And thank you very much, Mr. ASA Sukhayang, for presenting the souvenir to our honored speaker today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for the third session of ASA International Forum. We still have one more session in the afternoon and the last session of our ASA International Forum 2025. Hope to see you all at 2 p.m. Anyone who used translation headset, please return in the registration area. And if you would like to explore more about his work, the third session honored speaker, we also have some of his work presented in front of this room. You can check it out in front of this room. There's so many of his work presenting right now. Hope to see you all at 2 p.m. Right now, you can have a break lunch and enjoy our exhibition on the second floor. See you soon.